Thank you, sir. Thank you, AIOS, for this opportunity. So the topic assigned for me today is managing expectations, the perspective of an eye bank versus a corneal surgeon. I have no financial interest to disclose. So the outline of the talk will be a view about the revised eye banking standards which came out in 2020, the responsibilities of both an eye bank and a transplant surgeon, the quality standards which have been nicely touched upon by Dr. Manisha in her talk, the importance of documentation, and a brief note on the role of social media and advertising in eye banking. So this was the document which came out in 2020, and it nicely details each and every step involved in eye banking, right from the tissue retrieval to the standards for eye bank personnel training and so on and so forth. So the basic responsibilities of an eye bank which I gathered from that manual is to provide 24/7 service both to the public for awareness and for potential donors. That also includes conducting public awareness programs. Training of personnel and a competency assessment program are extremely important as well. As per the facilities offered, whether it is a eye bank or just a retrieval center, the infrastructure has been clearly defined in the document and it has to be present at the location. The storage, packing, and shipping of tissue should be as per the SOP of the eye bank. The distribution of tissue, which is an important task for any eye bank, should be just, equitable, and fair towards all, without any bias. And again, the quality assurance program has to be set in stone and with a proper SOP to boot. What should be the responsibilities of a transplant surgeon? He or she should be registered under the appropriate state medical council or the national council and should have a license under THOA. He or she should have complete familiarity with the document as shown earlier. Here comes the important the role of clear communication with the eye bank. The transplant surgeon has to adequately communicate, preferably in writing or over email or via standardized form, the indication of the transplant, what is the tissue requirement from the surgeon's side, any preference for storage medium, whether the surgery is elective or emergency. This step is extremely important, and sometimes it's just there is an informal phone call over the to the eye bank that, okay, I have this patient so and so, I need optical tissue tomorrow morning, please send it across. So sometimes things are not taken seriously, and here sometimes mishaps can occur. So it is extremely important that the line of communication between the eye bank and the surgeon should be maintained at all times, and it should be preferably in writing or over a formal email and not just over phone call tissue based though. If any adverse reaction occurs, the prime duty of the transplant surgeon is to inform the eye bank about it in detail immediately. Also, the feedback about the tissue received and the quality, whether it matches what the surgeon was expecting, that also has to be communicated as a post-surgical or a post-outcome kind of a documentation that has to be informed to the eye bank. That Dr. Manisha has clearly mentioned in her previous email that each eye bank should have a formally established quality assurance program. The medical director of the eye bank has the overall responsibility for carrying this out. It includes the monitoring and evaluation of the eye bank activities, timely identification of the problems, and then implementation of plans for corrective actions. Review and audit are extremely essential for any quality program, and there should be a well-documented tissue recall policy in case anything adverse is found in the reports. And documentation, it is frequently neglected in the medical fraternity, but it is very important. It is needed from both the eye bank side and the transplant surgeon as well. All the records in the eye bank have to be kept for a minimum of 10 years. And this point is extremely important. All these records and the communications between the eye bank and its donors and the recipients are confidential and privileged information. They are not for everybody to see. This point has to be kept in mind by the eye bank personnel. The periodic inspection of the eye bank can be carried out by the transplant surgeon who is taking the tissue from them, and vice versa, so as to build and improve upon the trust between the two entities. There is nothing offensive or shameful about this. This is just to improve each other's practice patterns, so to say. And the proper documentation also helps in accreditation of the eye bank. So this article by Dr. Manisha Acharya et al. Came on in IGO in 2018, I believe, in which they underwent an exercise in their own eye bank at Shroff's Hospital, New Delhi, in which they analyzed 4 indicators, quality indicators, and they saw the improvements over a period of time. One was the adverse reaction rate, one was the discard rate of the tissues, which were not suitable for keratoplasty during evaluation. One was the measurement of the protocol deviation, that how many times the deviation occurred from the established SOP of the eye bank, and what was the compliance rate when it came to critical quality activities. So over time, when these parameters were measured, they found a significant improvement in all the parameters, and the negative parameters where the deviations or the compliance rate improved, the deviations went down. There was a marked improvement when they were strictly analyzing their own data. So this is important for every eye bank of repute to undertake this self-corrective exercise, so that they know where they stand in comparison to Indian as well as the global standards. One brief point about the role of social media and advertising, both when it comes to a corneal surgeon or an eye bank. Generally, it is not applicable for any eye bank because there is no advertising concept, so to say. But there have been instances which I will not show here, but there have been instances on social media platforms, including Facebook or even in print media, in which surgeons have promoted their degrees or places of education or the number of corneal transplant surgeries performed, along with photos of the patient involved. So this is absolutely forbidden by the Indian Medical Council Act, Code of Medical Ethics, in which you cannot solicit any patients in any way, either by a solo practitioner or by a group of physicians. The only situations are 7 in which you can make a formal announcement in press, in writing, when you are starting out a new practice, or you are changing your type of practice, or you have changed your practice address, if you are absent from duty, or if you are joining some other place of work, and when you want to declare the charges in your practice publicly. These are the only instances in which the Code of Ethics allows you to advertise in either on social media or in print, but any other form of advertisement is strictly prohibited. Now, as we all know, COVID has changed the eye banking scenario on a global level. There are significant shortages in donor tissue, as we have discussed before. Patients are extremely apprehensive to get operated, especially the elective surgeries. Lockdown restrictions and travel restrictions have imposed a huge cost of burden in the patient being able to travel to the hospital to get a transplant. The old SOPs are no longer acceptable. We have to formulate new SOPs, keeping this in mind. Many of the eye banks have done so. And ensuring the safety of the personnel is the biggest challenge, because we don't know the COVID status of the donor, not always, especially if it is a home collection. So ensuring safety is extremely paramount to everybody. There have been increased costs because of PPE kits, frequent sterilization of the instruments, but because the patient numbers have gone down everywhere, there is a decreased revenue for the hospitals, the solo practitioners, and also for the eye banks, because the collection is not happening as the previous numbers. There is a generalized feeling of frustration and sometimes helplessness when we are required to turn patients away, either because we don't have tissue or the patients are unable to afford it. And whatever gains both the transplant surgeon and the eye banks have gained it before the pandemic set in, seem to be all washed away in the face of this past 2 years or so. So in summary, the relationship between the eye bank and the corneal transplant surgeon is symbiotic, and it is based on mutual trust. There should be crystal clear communication in both the ways to achieve the mutual goals and growth. Documentation, documentation, and documentation. Quality control is the way to success for both the transplant surgeon and the eye bank. But in view of the current COVID pandemic and overall, we should keep some realistic expectations on both the sides to maintain this shared relationship. Thank you so much.